So I wanted to give a quick update of what I've been up to. As you can see, I've got the new Arduino Mega Shield that just goes right on the back of the Arduino. I haven't hooked up the Arduino yet, but I'll show you that I've got two DC step-down converters. So I've got the one on the bottom putting out 12 volts for the Arduino Mega, and then the top one is powering the Raspberry Pi with 5 volts. And those are getting fed through this line from the 24 volts from the power supply. Right now I have the motor drivers hooked up. I was just kind of getting ahead of myself, hooking them up to the pulse and direction terminals, but I didn't want to unscrew everything, so I just brought the whole thing with me. I made this little sheet metal assembly just so that it's kind of all one pack. Not sure if I'll keep it like that, but it kind of gives me more freedom to mount it. I've got 2 or 4 mounting holes, 2 on each top and bottom, depending on which enclosure I pick. And then you might be seeing this tablet here. So right now I'm driving the software with the Raspberry Pi 0W, and the idea is to use USB from the Raspberry Pi into the Arduino. I'm not sure if there's a way to hardwire it, but I don't want to mess with that for now because I know the USB works. So one thing I did with the Raspberry Pi is I set it up as both an access point and a Wi-Fi client. So I'll just show you on the tablet here, I've got the Raspberry Pi interface. So this is the AR2 software that I've kind of adapted for the Raspberry Pi. A lot of the UI elements got shifted around, so I replaced everything, and all of the tabs now work and you can see everything. And then just to show you what I mean by Wi-Fi client is it can also access the internet. So this is Chris's robotics page. So I am connecting, I've got the tablet connected to the Raspberry Pi over a Wi-Fi signal. It is broadcasting, and then some clever individual on the internet came up with a really easy script to run that will kind of do all the background work to turn the access point on and also have it route Wi-Fi traffic through a different interface. So it's not really something that is necessarily supposed to be done on the Raspberry Pi, but it works. It is a little bit finicky sometimes, so in the future I might just run it as an access point only, so I'm not messing with the Wi-Fi client. I wasn't sure if I would need to access the internet at all. I'm keeping the Raspberry Pi software, right now it's locally on the Raspberry Pi, but I have it stored on my server just in case the Pi dies for some reason. I have a solid backup. So if I had to pull those over from my server, I wanted to have internet access, but I can always throw the SD card into my Raspberry Pi 2, which has an Ethernet connection, and hook it up that way. But yeah, the internet works. It's super slow, and I'm not sure if it's the Wi-Fi itself. I'm pretty far away from the router at this point, but it might be kind of a mix of trying to broadcast its own, kind of switch the signal back and forth between broadcasting and being a Wi-Fi client. So that's what I've got today. Next steps are going to be hooking up the Arduino finally, and the rest of the motor control. I've got those taken out because the I've got them wired up to the robot for now. Yeah, I've got a couple I/O I might have mentioned in a previous post for separate separate tasks. I took those out on the files that I uploaded, but basically calibration comes in here, the calibration wires, and I've got some really small surface mount resistors in there, so that I only need to run 2 wires out to each calibration, and then these are all the rest of the input output. So the Raspberry Pi is a little warm right now, about as expected. I'm concerned about how hot it's going to get once it's starting to run all the commands for the robot, but we're going to see. Hopefully it works out. But anyway, that's all I got for today.